Today I show you how I made a song using only IK Multimedia's Amplitube 3 and T-RacksCS plugin suite. Now that you've heard the tune, I'm going to show you step by step on how I created the tune. Obviously I have a drum track using TuneTrack's Superior Drummer MIDI drum software. And now I'm going to go over how my guitar tracks are laid out, and how they're bussed. And then I'm going to go into each section and show you what the presets look like. Now if you want to follow along, you can download the presets and the drum MIDI and the DI tracks in the description below if you want to follow along, and if you have Amplitube and T-Racks. I can't show you every single plugin that T-Racks has because that would take way too long, but I'm going to show you the ones that I really like, including the British channel, which is modeled after an SSL, which is just fantastic. At any rate, let's get started. So this is the DAW, and this is Logic Pro X. This is my drum track, and I have that bussed. I have my two intro tracks here, and those are bussed to my intro bus, so it's basically doing a stereo sum of each track. And without Amplitube, just the DIs, they sound like this. Okay, and then I have the two guitars, the main guitars, the big heavy distorted guitars. Those are just the left and right guitar, panned hard left, panned hard right. And those are bussed to a bus I called main guitar. And that's what these sound like. That is what your actual guitar sounds like when it's coming out of the pickups into the amplifier. So the amplifier does a lot, and that's really critical that it sounds good in order to amplify that quiet of a signal. I have the clean tones, which are also to their own separate bus called clean, obviously. They'll sound like this. Okay, and then finally I have the bass track, and that is obviously based or bussed to its own separate bus as well. Okay, first of all, on the intro track and the main track, I used the same patch that I created. So let's go into that. We'll turn both of these on for just the intro track for right now. This is a 5150 patch. I have the EQ. I ended up having the EQ pretty much almost at noon. With modeled guitar tones, I tend to not have I tend to not worry about all of the treble and all my treble and high-end needs at the amp side. Things can get fizzy if you do it too much. So I like to leave it slightly darker and then make up for that at the bus. And I'll show you that a little later. So if this sounds kind of bunny right now, that's why. This patch, like I said, consists of a 5150 sim. It is boosted by a fantastic overdrive tube screamer simulator called the Overscream. And you can see the levels up. It's basically used as a clean boost as I would in real life. And then the cab, the impulse, is what is most important for a good guitar tone in any amp sim. Amplitube's cab sims are incredibly good. And I chose the orange cab because, again, it is fantastic and sounds just like the actual orange cabinet with the Celestron Vintage 30 in it. I used 2 microphones, which is modeled after a Neumann U87 and a Shure SM57. Both of these are on either side of the speaker, and I kind of moved them around just until I got what I liked. I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted when I started out because I know I like this combination in real life. And it comes stock with the Amplitube 3. You don't have to buy the expansion or anything like that. So let's go over, let's see what this sounds like just on one track, and then I'll click in the second one. Okay. So like I said, this is the same preset as I used on the main rhythm guitars because I didn't want anything sounding too different when the big guitars kicked in. If you use the same guitar tone on an intro like this, of this style, it'll transition very nicely as long as you get the levels correct. It'll just transition and just kind of bloom and just get huge, as opposed to having a real scooped intro sound and then having a mid-range heavy guitar tone. And then it'll get it'll sound really weird and your ears will have to adjust, and that takes you out of the song. So I don't really generally like to do that. For the main guitar tones, so right now we have so obviously we can't hear the other guitars because they're just the DIs, and those are much too quiet. So I'm going to turn on the same patch, 5150 patch, on each of these. They're both the same. It's the same Overscream distortion set to the same thing. It's the same cab. And in the rack, I should point out, I have a little bit of the tube compressor in the rack. And then to help out what I'm going to be doing at the bus in a little bit, I also kind of have the graphic EQ set as kind of a high pass and low pass filter. And I also notched out between 152 and 250 hertz because things can get a little muddy when you add the bass in, as you'll see in just a second. So right now I'm going to turn off the graphic EQ and let you hear what that sounds like. We'll go right here. So here's what this sounds like. I know you can't hear it quite yet because at the bus we're going to boost everything up a little bit, make the main guitars a little louder, but we're not really worried about volume right now. I know you probably couldn't hear the difference. I highly recommend you watching this video in HD, by the way. And it's subtle, but it's there. And that's basically all it's all in the rack for this. Now for the bass tone, I went with a Galen Kruger, or excuse me, a Trace Elliott sim, which I found very nice and kind of metallic. I like metallic. It helps cut. So here's what it sounds like without the bass guitar. Bass guitar amp, excuse me, and then with it. Now for the stomp, I used the Pro Drive, which just gives it a little bit of a grit. And with the cab, I also used its matching cab with just an RE. It's modeled after an Electro Voice RE20 mic, which I really like for bass. And in the rack, I just have a little bit of the tube compressor, and that's it. At the bus, I'm going to worry more about notching out the EQ a little bit to make it fit with the guitars. For the clean tones, here's what it sounds like without the amp on it, just the DIs. Okay, so for this clean tone, I wanted something kind of warm and jangly, but not too jangly, and I wanted a little bit, of echo. Yeah, I put an echo and a compressor in there. So for this one, for this guy, we have the clean left, and then we have the clean right. And again, you can find these presets in the download of this video. So what it sounds like with the clean, this is just the isolated clean by itself. Okay, for the cab, I again used the U87. It's a very warm mic. I love it. I wish I had one in real life. And I just used the matching cab for the amp. I'm not sure what amp this is modeled after. It looks to be some kind of Vox AC30 kind of a thing, like a top boost. So when you put all these together, so we're going to play all this together, but it's still not quite done yet. So I want the guitars a little bit bigger, and I want the bass not as muddy. Everything kind of gels and kind of clashes into each other on the low end. What you're listening for is just above the bass drum frequencies. There's kind of a muddiness here. Okay, so first we're going to start off with the guitars. I want the guitars to be a little bit brighter and a little bit louder. So on the guitar bus, not on the individual tracks, on the guitar bus, I have this, the T-RacksCS, and I have a very simple chain, as you can see. It is the British channel, the blackface British channel, and then I have just another, I have the T-Racks EQ after that, just to make sure the frequencies I want are out. Because the SSL is a very precise EQ, whereas I want a little bit more of a Q and a little bit more flexibility. So on the British channel, I put up on the high end about 3.5K. I have the high end cranked up a little bit, about 3 dB, and I have the high mids cranked up about 1.7 dB. Now I'll play this. This without it. Now remember, I said I wanted a little bit more volume and a little bit more high end, and I will play you this first without, and then I'm just gonna notch it in and out for a second. Okay, now comparatively, the high end by itself sounds a little harsh, but that's okay. It's not going to really come through in the mix as harsh because the cymbals and the higher end frequency instruments are going to cover that up a little bit. So I'm not too worried about that. What you really want is the mid range that you're listening for to really kind of come out and pop a little bit. Now with the bass, I'm going to, let's see how it sounds without this plugin. Again, I'm using the British channel, which is based on the SSL, and then just an EQ which actually isn't even on. I ended up turning it off, or zeroing everything out. So just the British channel, and we'll play that with and without, and I'll let you hear how that sounds. Be listening to the low end of the bass and the rumble, and a lot of the rumble kind of goes away, but in a very desired way, in my opinion, of what I'm looking for. You really want both the guitar and the bass to just kind of become one, and I really think this SSL British channel really achieves that a little bit. All I've done a little bit is boost the high end just a little bit. I have the compressor on just slightly. The ratio is 3.7 right now to 1, and with a threshold of minus 12 dB. So that's a pretty good ratio, but at minus 12 dB, it's going to kiss it just a little bit on the bass. It's not going to really hyper compress it or anything like that. And let's check this out. Because of my screen capture software, the EQ did not show up before. That's what's going on, as it's very CPU heavy. So I do have it notched out, and I'll let you hear this again. So now let's hear the track just without the bass guitar entirely, and I'll turn on the bass, and you'll see how it fills up everything. So I really like that high-end graininess that the guitars have. You really do get that in real life, and I like that. It's a little bit of hair on it. Now on the master output, as a pseudo mastering, as opposed to like taking it to a studio and having frequencies analyzed, I'll show you what I did for that. Now for the cleans, real quick, I just have a light compression. I have the British channel on with the low end boosted a little bit, about 5 dB, and that's it. On its own, it really colors it. I should let you hear that real quick before we go to the master out. Not doing a whole lot, but it does add a little bit of flavor and a little bit of color to it, and I really like that. I use the British channel all over the place, and I've been using it on lots of stuff besides this ever since I got it. Now the master output, I'm going to compress a little bit, and I'm also again going to use the British channel. Now this is a mastering preset called Punch in the Middle, and on its own, without this plugin, it sounds, the whole song generally sounds a little bit scooped. So what I did is just simply find a preset, and I didn't really do anything to it. I believe I turned the high end down just a little bit, but this preset is called Punch in the Middle, and it adds the British channel, and it just adds a brick wall limiter. And I did turn the brick wall limiter input down about a half a dB. So I'm gonna put this in and out and let you hear the difference of what this is doing. You'll notice the Punch in the Middle preset has the input of this SSL sim kind of cranked, and the output's down a little bit. This will give you a little bit more saturation on the output, and kind of gives everything a little bit of a glue, and just kind of makes everything one big wall of sound in this particular instance. And I really like that with this this preset. Let's check out some other features of the T-Racks. The T-Racks also has a classic compressor, which is very, very good. My favorite is there it is. This vintage compressor is very, very nice. It's very kind of squishy. The vintage EQ is modeled after a Pultec, and the Pultec is very nice, but it's very expensive in real life to get the actual hardware version. This is very, very nice, and is up there with plugins that model the same thing that cost 3 or 4 times this. This is very, very good. The T-RacksCS is what I have, and it has all sorts of EQs. And now, if there's something that you don't have that you do want to get, it's as easy as clicking on the custom shop logo, and it'll take you right to the custom shop. And then you can then buy into the individual plugins. Now, the cool thing about this T-Racks is you're building an entire chain. As you can see, you can build very complex chains within the shell of the one plugin instance on your bus. And I really dig that. That's super cool. That's how the song was made. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And I hope that helps you guys a little bit on kind of mixing and the general idea of what I kind of start with and use often for the heavy songs. So at any rate, my name is Fluff. I'd like to thank IK Multimedia for letting me check out Amplitube 3 and T-RacksCS. You can visit them at ikmultimedia.com. And thank you for watching.